Hello and welcome to Expat American. Today I'm with my friend Enno, who is an expat but not from America. And the question we want to try and answer is Russia Western or Eastern? Oh, Kurta. So Enno, the reason why I thought of this question is I think a lot of Americans, they see the traditional onion dome churches and they think that's not my culture, they're different from me. So what would you say to that? Is Russia Eastern, and if so, how is Russia Eastern?
Well, in my opinion, we have some tendency to judge, or at least to think about stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
For example, when we think about a Russian person, I mean, most of the cases we think about a blondie person with blue eyes, but in reality, Russia is not just that. I mean, there is this part of nationality, but it's a country of multi-nationalities and multiculturals. Actually, in Russia should be a bit more than 170 different nationalities, except the Slavic one, which is considered to be the Russian. There is many like Chechens, Kalmyks, Caucasians, Turkish, there are different, and all of them are Eastern. Wow. So that makes it an Eastern country.
Yeah, right. So I got some sort of dumpling. This is, what country is this restaurant, cameraman?
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan restaurant. My cameraman is not a Devishka today, it's an actual man.
Oh.
So this is not the Khinkali Russian style. And what's this, Enno?
This is the famous Eastern sweet. We have it even in my homeland. It's called baklava.
Ah, I've had baklava before. It's very tasty.
It's a
it's a tasty dessert that's not chocolate. And cameraman, what did you get?
I got shashlik, various assortment of meats on a stick and roasted over a fire.
So what makes Russia a Western country?
Well, I think there is a difference among East and West. Generally speaking, West, I think, tends to be more modern, let's say, progressive and pragmatic, let's call it, in the way of doing things.
Right.
Actually, East is a bit different because it's more traditional. It's more relies on the habits or spirituality or even mysticism. By saying that, historically Russia had the tendency to modernize the country. One biggest moment was, let's say, around the 17th century, if I'm not wrong. If you know the emperor, the famous Peter I, Peter the Great, he was among the first which made this big reform by modernizing Russia. Or better, what they call it here, bringing a window to the West. He's famous for making the well-known city St. Petersburg, which holds his name. It's totally built by European architects, mostly Italians, and it's totally a piece of Europe in Russia. But not only St. Petersburg, I know a bit by history of Moscow. Moscow also holds many architectural pieces done by European architects. Even in the nowadays times, you have Moscow City. Can be a copy of Manhattan a bit. They even call it Moscow City, like literally, even here. They don't call it Moskovsky Gorod, for example. Or the park Zaradny, I think you've been there. This is totally designed by American studio.
Okay, so now we're going to head to a bakery, an Eastern style bakery at our cameraman's request and recommendation. Enno, in regards to this topic, Russia, is it Eastern or Western? How does that relate to you? What's your background? What's your story with all this?
I was born and raised in Albania. It's a small country, for those who doesn't know, between Italy and Greece, which holds Eastern and as well Western culture. My first degree is in fine arts and design, and my career, I started as a graphic designer, worked for many years in advertising and media industry. Then in 2010 I had my own business in this field, which brought me in more investment in myself, in my education, in business management, as well as in life and business coaching. By the way, I have also a certificate from an American university about this field. And nowadays I'm like independent scholars, mostly in applied psychology, but also spirituality. And
oh, really?
yeah. And here in Moscow, we moved together with my family. I'm married to a Russian woman for 10 years already, and we have 2 kids, 7 and 5. Here I'm working as an art director in the fashion industry, but also as a freelancer. And except my jobs, I'm also invested in my spiritual life. I'm a member of the Moscow Church of Christ, and I'm an active member, and I'm also serving there. Thanks God.
Yeah. That's the same church that I go to with you and Andrew Kalucci from a previous video, and,
yes.
and Aurora. So on our way to the Eastern Bakery, we realized we're passing by Rudan Friendship University, they call it. So this is an international university in Russia. It says it in the letters there behind me. And here is a globe, and actually our cameraman goes to this school. What is this globe, cameraman?
It's various phrases in various languages to represent the international university.
So here's an example of Russia being international and creating an institution for different cultures, Eastern and Western. Americans don't know anything about Albania, I think it's safe to say. So tell us like a bit about your country, and just so we understand, so the Western audience understands, and also how does it compare to Russia, would you say?
Well, I think Russia and Albania have a long relationship, and they share many similarities. The biggest moment of this friendship was, let's say, after the Second World War, when Albania, let's say, joined the Eastern Bloc, meaning the Soviet Union, but never been part of Soviet Union. But had a strong relation with Russia, and the Russia government, the same investment they did in Soviet Union, the same format they exported in Albania, let's say, in terms of infrastructure, industry, education, and so on. So basically, my parents, let's say, or even I'm born in '85, I grew up in part of this system.
Lena, why did you choose to become an expat Albanian?
As I mentioned earlier, we share many similarities in terms of mentality. We've been walking in the last 50 years in a similar ground during communism and the fall of communism. And the reason why we decided to move here, in fact, was not an easy decision, because back in Albania I had my own business. I mean, it was going fine, more opportunities, but I had to choose between my career or my family, let's say. And we think that to grow kids is better here in terms of education and environment.
Yeah, looks good to me.
So whenever I come to this bakery, I usually get 1 piece of lapioshka, which is basically just bread. I ate it throughout the week. 1 hachapuri, which is sear or cheese and bread. I get that heated up and I eat it on the way home, especially when it's cold out like now. And 1 samsa, which is like a hardened bread pocket with meat and potatoes inside.
So you're a fan of the East.
Yeah, I love the yeast. It's great.
The main minus, which I noticed here, I mean, not to everyone, but to close people I know, is, let's say, the materialism. I can call it like that.
Right.
And I guess after the communism fall, it's a common, let's say, idea that people tend to be materialistic. And to me, it makes feel pity a bit, because it drives them far from spirituality, far from God.
And positives?
Actually, positives, thanks God, are a lot. But I will mention those which relate to my everyday life, let's say. The first positive is, I can say, it's zero racism. I don't feel nothing, I mean, which makes me feel discriminated or not accepted. Actually, they are very friendly, and they help foreigners, at least in my case. Also, in terms of employment, though my language is not the best, I'm not facing problems. They are always willing to help you, to support you. Well, the second thing which I experienced here is I can say that they are very helpful people. I mean, they have the tendency to support you if you are facing problems, especially at work. They are willing to help you every time, and this, I think, is a great value they have. A third one I can mention, they are good listeners. Actually, Russians are very good listeners. We're even talking with Josiah before. If you ask a Russian "Как дела?" like "How you doing?", don't expect just to give a formality. They even are open, or if they ask you, they are very interested to hear you, to know how you are living, how you are doing. Even if they ask you an opinion, they want to hear too much about your opinion, and they are really involved in that. And the fourth one, I can say that they are team workers, in the sense they are organized, they love the job. They tend to follow the hierarchies, the authority, and always willing to help each other. And that's really great. I mean, for those especially which are working here.
Fantastic. I agree.
Yeah.
So, Josiah, any closing thoughts about is Russia East or West? Do you want to give us a vote?
I think the two cultures have mixed and formed their own style. It's wonderful.
That sounds like a very sweet thing to say. Anyway, if you like this video, please click like, click subscribe, ring the bell notification, and let us know in the comments, what do you think? Is Russia Eastern? Is Russia Western? Is it a little bit of both, like Josiah says? And click the next video right over here to see what happens next.
So Josiah, what you got me is good, but the thing that you let me try that you ate was way better.
The hachapuri, bread with cheese.